Which is the best side?
I don't know.
Ready? Let's see, let's try.
Yeah, this line right here.
Try that.
I'll turn that right on.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Okay. Ready? Rich man, poor man, baggerman thief, doctor, lawyer, merchant chief. I've researched my family history. I've done genealogy off and on for many years. And I think every one of these has been in my family, sometimes within one person. Tonight, first I'd like to say that I grew up rather isolated from my family except for immediate family members. But through genealogy, I've really gotten to know my family better, my ancestors better. And the purpose of my speech tonight is to introduce a few of them to you, primarily my grandparents, and to maybe create a little interest, you know, within the audience to research your own family history if you haven't done this. And I will be touching a little bit upon genealogy, but it's a short speech, so I'm just going to give you just a few little hints. So you'll see this form a lot in genealogy because you always, or generally you start with grandparents. You have two sets of grandparents and you work your way back in time. Okay, that's not real clear.
Sorry. We're testing each
Oh, okay. These are my father's parents. On the left here, his name was Jarvis Anderson Finley, and he was born right at the end of the Civil War in 1866 in Alabama, and he died in Texas. And he died in early 1900s. But I have a very interesting story about him. Because of him, I was born in Texas. My family immigrated to Texas because of him. The story, I never met him. He died in 1941, and I was born in 45. And the story is that he killed a man in Alabama. And he fled to Texas in the middle of the night. Because in those days, a lot of times, they hung you on the nearest tree. They strung you up on the nearest tree and asked questions later. Because the justice system didn't allow people to sit in jail for years and years and then get the death penalty. And the lady on the right, that's not real clear, but that was my grandmother. Her name was Jessie Pearl Upton Finley. And she was born in 1875 in Texas, and she also died in Texas in 1955. I never met my grandfather, but I got to know her just, a little bit. She died when I was about 9 or 10. And an interesting story goes with her, too. Her family didn't think that Jarvis was good enough for her. They didn't approve of him at all, and I can see why. But she fell head over heels in love with him. And the story goes that she climbed out her bedroom window that was on the second floor, and they met and they eloped. So, okay, we can go on to the next one. And this here, I really like this. This is one of my favorite pictures. This is my mother's father. And and his name was Ezra Burton Moore. And of course, he's in his sailor uniform. He served in World War I, and he was a full-blood American Indian. I know I don't look like it, but my mother looked Hispanic actually, and I took after my father, who was a blue-eyed blonde. So, and this is him when he was older, and my grandmother, her name was Maudie Pearl Kynard Moore. She was a little bitty lady. She hit me right about at my shoulder. She was 4'9", but she was a tough old lady. And the story, I have a story that she stood up to my father one time when he was going to whoop his kids, but one of them did something wrong, and he was going to whoop us all. And she said, I guess if you had a dozen kids and someone did something wrong, you would whoop every one of them. And he said, get away, old lady, or I'll give you some of it. I don't know what happened. Didn't hear what happened in that story. So I guess we can go to the next one. Now these are documents or forms that you'll see in genealogy. I use primarily census records, but I also use birth, marriage, and death records. And sometimes you can come across information that gives you more than just, it can get boring if all you have would be names and dates. Having stories adds to it an awful lot, but they're hard to come by sometimes. But you generally start, if you have any older relatives that you can go to and talk to, they generally love to talk anyway, to tell stories. So if you have anyone like that in your family, try to get to them, because I didn't do that. I didn't get interested in genealogy until I was older, so I didn't really have anyone to sit down and talk to. But that's the first thing. The next step would be to go to a large public library that has a genealogy department, and somebody there who can help you get started, because it's a little difficult if when you first start. Also, you can also go to the internet, but it's my personal opinion to start at the library first. Okay. Now, these two characters are, let's see the light. Okay. These two characters are very interesting to me. I've been doing research on the internet recently, and I came across these two. And this man is my great uncle, and he lived and died in Georgia. So I guess that's all of my pictures, and I hope that you've gotten something from this speech. Thank you.